What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another Magodsplaining Mushoku Tensei, a series where I go and find hate posts about Mushoku Tensei and laugh at them and try to explain or bring some enlightenment to these individuals as to what makes Mushoku Tensei so great and what exactly they're missing. Because yes, I will admit that there's a lot of cases where people just don't understand what Mushoku Tensei is saying, and I feel like I can bring my knowledge of the series based on reading the light novel, watching the anime, and just try to give them some sort of information that might clear things up, and yes, we can laugh at the same time. As per usual, I'm not here to post the actual person that is actually making the post. I'm copying over the content to another document, mainly because I'm not here to try to get people to go after them and attack them, but really just to kind of give a clearer perspective on exactly what is being told in the story. Yes, it's the same poster from last video. I decided that I'm going to skip their second part of the first season review because really all they really talked about was Paul, the reuniting with Paul, and there wasn't really much in there to really discuss. But thankfully they did a thread on season 2, and if you watched part 1, you'll know it's probably going to get extremely spicy. As you can already see on the actual screen, we're already getting into misogynistic. So definitely strap in and let's just enjoy this. I've had some people say that my videos on this stuff is like therapeutic. They just enjoy experiencing it through me rather than being frustrated themselves. I'm glad that I can suffer for your entertainment. So let's get into it. I have no idea how this story managed to trick so many people into thinking it's something great. It's superficial, misogynistic, and I hate it. We're already throwing in the buzzwords, the misogynistic. We're already throwing in that buzzword like we're trying to meet some sort of quota for DEI or something. And yes, they say it a lot. But no, honestly, I think this is one of those aspects of like, why do you enjoy something I don't like? How could you enjoy something I don't like? And that's something I've never really understood. And again, I said this for their first part. If you don't like it, they said they're watching it because they want to be part of the discussion. And your discussion is to be mad about it, just don't watch it. Like, if you're not enjoying it, don't watch it. And with all the hints of the storyline and what Rudeus is going through that they're completely missing, you know that there's really going to be nothing good coming from it, and we'll see it with this whole part. The very first episode of Season 2, and this new character that we're supposed to like, nothing says that you're supposed to like them. Yes, a lot of people like Ariel, but there's nothing in here saying you must like the character. Jokes about a young girl, Mushoku Tensei is back. What? You actually thought I'd bleep you? Well, to be fair, lady, it kind of looked like it, yeah. I guess this is one of those things where I feel like the viewer of this probably isn't getting the context that they've been with each other for a while. This is how Ariel acts. She's very playful. She's very promiscuous. She's extremely promiscuous. That was what the whole opening sequence is for displaying Ariel, is showing how, yes, she sleeps with a lot of people and a lot of the maids and whatnot. Now, that's not saying it's right. And yes, she probably uses her power dynamic to essentially get that, but that's who she is as a character, not to say that it's right. There's nothing that's saying that it's morally right. And no, there's nothing here, and I'm not saying it, there's nothing here saying it's morally okay for Ariel to do this to Sylphie. The point here is that they are very playful, they are friends, Sylphie has a lot of trust in Ariel, and again, just because you have trust in somebody does not mean they can force themselves upon you. That's not what it's saying here. It's saying that she's playing, and I'm guessing I'm getting indications, and I get a lot with that with what I've kind of skimmed so far putting this document together. I'm guessing you don't have many, I hate to say this, I'm guessing you don't have any friends, because people are playful like this. There's a lot of people that are very playful like this, and this is a playful thing that's happening here. Yes, it probably goes a bit too far for a lot of people's comfort, and again, I'm not excusing it, but that's what they're showing here. They're showing the playful dynamic. And yes, Sylphie's trust of her. Sylphie is trusting her and saying, not fighting back. And that's the dynamic here that it's establishing. Again, not to say that it's okay to push that boundary there. And yes, she may have gone too far for people. And again, I'm not excusing it. It's just that's what's happening in the scene. That she then goes, well, I definitely do want to bleep you, but I never break a promise. Teehee doesn't help it either. Again, it's a playfulness. Okay. Come on, dude. Those are panties. Pull yourself together. Hold on, Andrew. Quote, but it's an emotional scene. He's not being pervy about it. Yes, I know, but it sort of takes you out of the scene when what he pulls out to cry with and holds against his face is panties. Like, could he not have gotten a bracelet or something? This goes back to what I was kind of talking about to an extent with the first part of this particular thread, this poster, is I think there's an extreme lack of empathy, and I think there's an extreme lack of understanding of what Rudeus is going through. And that sort of goes into that whole thing of you might as well stop if this is something you're not getting. Again, this poster specifically said when Rudeus was tied to the skull gates and stripped naked, he said, am I supposed to understand this? Like, am I supposed to believe this? It seems so outlandish. And it's like, no, that is a thing that happens. People get bullied like that. And yes, a lot of them will end themselves because of it. That's how traumatic it is. It is extremely embarrassing. It will haunt them and it destroys their life. And I felt like since he didn't understand that part, he's not going to understand the rest of this. He or she. This poster is not going to understand Rudeus' struggles. And with this particular moment right here, there's twofold things happening here. Because he was so kind of messed up because of this trauma, this bullying, he became very promiscuous. That's why he got into a lot of inappropriate content online. That's why he was doing what he was doing when his family came in and kicked him out of the house. This person became very perverted in the head. It messed with him. It stunted his growth, it stunted his maturity, and it made him very promiscuous. Now, coming into this world, yes, he grabbed a pair of this lady that he looked up to so much because she basically saved his life. This is somebody that got me out of being a shut-in and saved me, in a sense. Saved my life. And he respected her a lot. Grabbed her Pantsu. Grabbed him. Now, jump forward. Now, Eris has left him. He feels like he broke that relationship. She left me because I was not good. I broke that relationship. She abandoned me. Now he's extremely broken. Extremely broken. The only thing getting him through things is thinking about Roxy. He's thinking about in this scene. He does it. If you noticed it, it shows him with Roxy. Roxy saved his life, and Roxy is his purpose for moving forward. Just the thought that she reminded me that there's something ahead of me. He thinks about her. That's why he keeps moving forward. And yes, was the only thing that he has of Roxy's Pantsu. That's all he has. So yes, it's not necessarily that he's holding Pantsu to his face. It's not that he's holding Pantsu. He's holding a cloth, a symbol, something of Roxy's. Yes, it just happens it was Pantsu because originally he grabbed him because he's a pervert. Now he's holding on to them because it's the only thing he has to remind himself of Roxy. As he was out there with that team and being attacked by the bears, he sticks his hand in his pocket, and what's in there? The Pantsu. That's all he has in his life. He's given up on life. He wanted to die. The only thing that kept him from allowing himself to die was thinking about Roxy. That's simply, you're too fixated on what the cloth is. Yes, it's funny. To a lot of people, it is actually funny. It is an oddity. But that's the oddity that always makes this series so interesting. The fact that he has a pair of Pantsu that he is pleading to. It's an oddity. It's perverted. It's weird. It's gross. It's heartwarming. It's stabilizing. There's so many things in this cloth. That's technically what makes it genius. You just don't want to accept that. Of course, what he burns isn't the panties, but the hair he has of Eris. Again, are you not understanding what it's portraying here? Are you not understanding what it's portraying here? I hope you're understanding what it's portraying here. Roxy gives him comfort. Roxy has done nothing to me. She's done nothing but good for me. I am embracing the one thing that I have of Roxy's. Then he thinks of the hair. Now, to be fair, and this is the funny thing, to this poster, for some reason you watch this video, in the light novel, it wasn't hair. The anime just made it hair. In the light novel, it was her Pantsu. Eris thought that he'd want a pair of his panties because he likes to keep panties with him. So she leaves her panties behind for him. And so he actually burns her panties. But again, the reason why he's burning whatever it is, the Eris's panties or Eris's hair, the reason why he is because he kept it, but it's only giving him pain. Because every time he sees it, touches it, whatever, it reminds him that he lost Eris, that he destroyed that relationship. It just hurts him. So he's burning it. Of course he's going to burn it. Impressions otherwise so far. It's all right. It's basic storytelling, so no real missteps yet. How is any of this basic to you? How is anything that you've watched so far up until the point where he burns the hair is basic to you? It's a guy with ED that's literally wanting to die. How many stories are you watching where people want to die like that? It's extremely weird, dude. It's all right. We're just setting things up. Walking the steps. I guess I noted that it's sort of obvious when they make particular girls extra cute and moe, which is a bit grating, but that's how anime is. I have no clue what you're saying here. There's a lot of really weird typos in this particular one, especially Isekai, so I'm not going to hold that against it specifically, but I guess I did note it. Anyways, we're trudging along here. Do I have to talk about this again? Wait, I'm going to talk about this again? He built an shrine for the panties. My God. And you expect me to take any scene where he used it to comfort himself as legitimately emotional? Sometimes the word degenerate is really tempting to use for certain parts of the series, but we're not gonna sound like a reactionary here. I mean, you're gonna use misogynistic 50 million times. You used the R word a million damn times last time, so why not? Again, I got into all this already. It's literally the only thing that's keeping him from taking his own life. He's in a really bad place. I guess, is this similar to the previous scene and similar to the whole bullying thing? Please never, if you have anybody that has like any sort of trauma they're going through, or they're in a really bad place, please call help for them. Yes, get them help. I'd just be very afraid of you handling that, because there's a serious lack of empathy here. Again, yes, it's weird. That's what makes it so kind of fascinating, is that it's kind of weird that this guy is literally moving to a point where, again, it went from Pantsu at a perversion to literally this is the only thing that he has anymore that's keeping him from taking his own life, to something that he then turns into religion and he starts to worship because it's literally the only thing for him. He looks up to Roxy as literally the only positive thing in his new life at this moment. She's my everything. Oh, and he had to grab her tea. God, this series is misogynistic. I was wondering if we're gonna go to a little stretch without a cute girl before we're reunited with Sylphie, and why was that even a question? Why is this misogynist? I shouldn't be asking. This is one of those things where whenever somebody throws misogynistic every 2 seconds out, I try to understand, and I will never understand. Again, I'm guessing this poster has never really had too much interaction with the opposite sex, because slip-ups happen, and let's be perfectly clear, they don't do this too much in this storytelling, so to bring it up as some sort of supermassive negative is odd. And there, her chest again. Well, that didn't take long. Had to keep her alive so we could have her undressed right. This goes back to again, part one. I feel like I'm saying the same thing again with this part as I was the first part. Are you not seeing anything positive in the storytelling, or the only thing that you want to talk about is negativity? Like, the fact that he immediately rushed out there to save her life, didn't even hesitate. The fact that he went and saved her life, that means nothing to you as a viewer? Somebody who is at the point where they want to end their own life, choosing to go out and save another person's life, that's not we're not going to get into positives. Again, we're not going to get into positives. We're not going to talk about the good things Rudeus does. We're just going to say, oh, he saved her life because he wants to undress her. No, she's undressed because she was in the snow for a long time. She's going to get hypothermia, and that's what you do when somebody's cold and wet. Are you survival tactics? Anybody? And again, just like part one, you're showing it. This is offensive. You're upset that they're showing her again, and you show the picture. Hypocrite much? Well, it's a solid little arc, right? Sure, but it's blatantly obvious that the point of this arc is that Rudeus to be a bit depressed. A bit depressed? That's what you're getting out of this, is that he's a bit depressed? Are you kidding me? He's a bit depressed? He wants to end his own existence. That's a bit depressed to you? Like right now, Rudeus feels like everything's gone. Like he started this new life, things were going good. Yes, he got displaced, but he had a good life. He was still enjoying life. And then he lost everything. He has nothing. He's only on autopilot to go find his mom, but he doesn't even care. Like, it's something that's in his mind, like, oh yeah, Paul wanted me to look for mom, but that's literally just some purpose. He doesn't really care. That's a bit depressed. Okay. Sure. And then get better as he meets a new cute girl. Is she part of his wives in the end? I don't think so. Although, wouldn't surprise me if an actual romance starts here. It kind of be more insulting if so many girls in this series fall for him that it's like too many for him to reciprocate. It's not enough for it to be his actual harem, it's also girls outside of it. God, this weird writing. I don't know, maybe I'm tired. Sure, okay. Fans saying Rudeus committing multiple acts of violence against female characters is part of his character arc, and is portrayed as who's who is saying, who are you? Again, I don't read Reddit. I stay away from Reddit because I'm still reading the novel series. I'm at 21, and I'm deathly afraid of spoilers. Are people just like constantly talking about these weird things that this guy is completely feeding off of, or what? Or is he just getting replies on his social media and he thinking that like what everybody says? Some person came at me and that's the fandom, right? Again, stop thinking everybody thinks the same. And it's actually portrayed as bad, even though all the camera angles, shots, etc. try to make the scenes look sexy or are otherwise frequently played out for laughs or excused with no consequences is very funny. I mean, that's always a massive question mark in discussion in every fandom. In the novel series, it's not extremely descriptive about a lot of stuff. But yes, whenever it does come to the adaptation, sometimes they take liberties. Sometimes they get a little bit too showy. Sometimes there's obviously an appeal they're going for there. I mean, that's just like the whole situation with Higehiro. The whole situation where you literally have this girl is presenting herself to him, but the story itself is very respectful of what it's doing. It's this guy that has a girl show up, and she basically sleeps with any man that she stays their place. She doesn't want to go back home. She's homeless. And he doesn't accept when she presents herself. But yes, the anime itself gets very icy of her. And it's like that whole question mark of you're trying to say a positive message, but you're kind of ruining it by showing it. Is it bad that it shows it? Is showing it kind of showing that this is what he's giving up? Who knows? Who knows? Just admit that you like it because it's half plot and half stuff with power fantasy garbage. No, none of this stuff. This second part, no. If you're coming to Mushoku Tensei for this stuff, then no. I mean, yes, there's probably some people that like it or like really into it. I like it for the story it's telling for Rudeus. But no, I would probably say I love the world building and the characters. I would probably say like 80% of my love of the series. I would say 80% of my love of the series is characters. The characters are phenomenal. Every single one of the characters is absolutely fantastic. Then it's like 15% is the world. The world is just too freaking good. And then it's like 5%, I guess, is the rest. 5% is probably the power fantasy and everything else. Yeah, characters is a big part of me. The reason Rudeus is allowed to get away with is because it's stuff. No, that's you saying that. What the hell are you talking about? Okay, everyone is allowed to like things that are simple and problematic and not deep. No, Mushoku Tensei is extremely prominent. Mushoku Tensei, to an outsider's perspective, is problematic. But it's because it's pushing the boundaries and doing things that people would see problematic that makes it deep. That makes it deep. It makes you think. It makes you consider. Like I said earlier, I talk for minutes on end about what the Pantsus mean. You don't want to see it because it's problematic. You're not allowing yourself to try to empathize with the character and understand what makes him tick. That's what makes it fascinating. You just don't want to accept that. And that's perfectly fine. But again, don't try to act like it's not there. Don't ignore that it's there because you don't like it and it's problematic. Again, it's fine. It's fine that you don't like it. Move on. I just dislike it when people pretend anime like this is all profound and end up trying to defend it with misogynistic nonsense, which I'm sorry to say to fans reading this is 99% of fans' arguments. Okay, that's your opinion, bro? like this doesn't work. I don't care how much you think this wins an argument. This doesn't win arguments. If you're ever trying to make people understand you, if you're ever trying to make an argument, this is the worst way possible to do it. This is what shuts down conversations. And I know this is a tactic that a lot of people like to use these days, which really sucks because it's just like politically, socially, everything has to be, you have to be extreme over here or extreme over here. And the way that people make arguments anymore is crap like this. The way to win your arguments isn't to come to middle and discuss, hey, why do you like this? Explain it to me. Like what makes you enjoy a show where a guy is shoving Pantsu in his face because he's at a state where he wants to end his life? What makes that cool and interesting to you? No, we're going to go, it's misogynistic, which 99% of you are misogynistic. That doesn't, you're not looking for a discussion at this point. It's sad. That's a sad existence that you're in. It's really sad. Open your mind more. Try to understand people. Empathize. Because again, you're not going to understand the story if you're not going to empathize. Ugh. I feel like this video is going to be a long one too. I feel like this video is going to be a long one too. Girl, he was like 5 years old. You're seriously going to be jealous? Man, wow, girl being jealous. This can't understand that. Oh, I had a great teacher in kindergarten who was the teacher a woman? Again, there's so much in this whole segment you could be talking about, and this is what bothers you. Okay. I know that this series doesn't care if it's that all believable, or if her jealousy is supposed to be a thing she should work on, or if it exists for any other reason, but that possessive anime girls are good fuel for male fantasy this show appeals to, and that's why she's jealous. Do you not go outside? Are you like a always on the internet type of person? I run into these people every now and then. I guess every now and then you run into these type of people. Either your life has been very insulated, or you just have never met another human being. Do you not understand jealousy? Have you never met another of the opposite sex? Again, I'm not going to assume what you are, male or female, but man, get out more. It's cute that she's jealous is the only reason, and it's entirely in service of Rudeus, and more so than the viewer. Again, go touch grass. Go meet people. People are jealous humans. It's a human nature. Where do you think this concept comes from? Humans. Refugian is writing about humans. They do this. Jealousy. What does jealousy mean? Jealousy is a concept. What is typically jealousy for? Yes, it's for money. Yes, it's for fame. But 99% of the time that jealousy is used in writing and in practice in real life is over another person because somebody likes somebody. Again, touch grass. People be like, yeah, Rudeus is scum at the start of the series. He's supposed to be like that. And then grows throughout. What's the problem then, ? I haven't seen the throughout yet, so to me, we're still at the section where he's just scum. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a long while. And there's a lot of things that he's probably never going to get over. Again, I haven't finished it. But, again, if this is a problem, stop watching it. So you agree then. It should be understandable that I find Rudeus very off-putting, and since the series has yet to hold him accountable for it, or truly have him grow from it, therefore, I do not yet like it because they haven't fixed the scum part yet. You like everybody perfect, don't you? You like everybody perfect in your stories? Like they have to be perfect, never make mistakes, never do bad? It's a very kind of isolated life you want to live in, which again is fine. You be you, but again, like I said with the first part, I didn't excuse a lot of things that you were bringing up about Rudeus or Paul or anything like that. It's characters with flaws. That's what this writer does very well. Give me some time then, if this is the point, but I actually need to see it happen with my own two eyes. It's, again, Again, you're not going to find it. And I think even if he does, again, like I've explained before, I more see Rudeus' story is not a redemption story. It's not. It's never about redemption. He never goes back and says, let me fix what I did wrong. It's typically, I'm moving forward because this is good. This is working out for me. This is actually much better. Things are going well. I'm focused on this. I made a promise. I have family. I need to do these things to secure my family. That's literally what it is. And if you're already stumbling on this and you're looking for something, and based on everything I've read so far on this thread, you're not going to find what you want. What I think you want is for him to say, I was wrong. And he's not going to do that. I don't think he's ever going to do that. Sara's pretty mean to leave Rudeus just because he couldn't get it up. I think I missed a part. Unless I got it out of order. It's down here. I don't know if this goes... I think this goes before it. But anyways, Sara's pretty mean to leave Rudeus just because he couldn't get it up. I mean, even if he hadn't wasn't sad about Eris leaving, other things can cause that. You're nervous. You had too much to drink or whatever. You can still make her feel good. I don't know yet if we're supposed to take this as the Sara is shallow, or if this is more than just an attitude a lot of people in the past had towards men who couldn't get up. It's a fantasy world, but loosely inspired by medieval times, so probably a fair guess if that's it. I don't blame people, and I was talking about this a lot during Sara's episode where, again, Rudeus, she offers herself to Rudeus. Rudeus couldn't get it going, and then she left. Now, that whole scene where she gets frustrated and leaves, just that part right there. What the anime does not adapt is an entire segment where it shows Sara's perspective. She's extremely embarrassed by herself. That's what happened there. It isn't her making fun of Rudeus. It isn't her having a mean attitude towards him. She literally is embarrassed because she can't get him up. She thinks that she's not pretty enough. She feels bad that she's not good enough for him. That's what happened there. From her perspective, that's what happened there. And that's the unfortunate thing. And it's just like Eris's perspective with before she leaves Rudeus. The anime didn't adapt her perspective, and it explains a lot about what she did there. Unfortunately, the anime is very focused on Rudeus, and barely any of the perspective chapters ever get adapted. But that's what Sara's going through. I realize that Sara is just saying this because she's a bit of a tsundere, but Rudeus doesn't really seem to pick up on it. There's no moment of him recognizing that it's just a pretense for her not to be too romantically vulnerable. He seems to have accepted... I guess you can see that. He seems to have accepted that at face value that she's just doing it out of gratitude and dove right in. That's not great. It's not great. Okay. Although I guess at this point he does have some abandonment issues, but then again, not like he's respectful with sex and nudity otherwise. I mean, he's... Again, this is... He's finally being respectful and you're still dogging on him. He's doing better and you're still mad. You're still mad. He's doing good right here and you're still mad. You're still mad. Yeah, obviously, again, it's a lot of... Sara is obviously liking him because he saved her life. That's an obvious thing here. She does want to do that. And yeah, like I said, you could technically see that with the romantic vulnerability. She wants to say this because she doesn't want to put herself completely out there. Again, it's a logical conclusion to come there. This is sort of an issue because there are two possibilities. He simply dove right in because that's his character, which is pretty poor of him. There's no moment of him recognizing it's just a pretense. Again, it's consenting individuals. I guess if you want to look at it at a deeper perspective, I think you're taking too much of her choice away from her. That's what I would come to the conclusion right here. You're very focused on him taking advantage of her. That it's his fault for not seeing if she has this desire not to sleep with him, other than the fact that he saved her life and that she's trying to create that barrier. Again, you're trying to find a way to blame him here, is what I'm guessing. Again, that takes her rights away from her, which is not a correct way of thinking about this. He wouldn't have done this if it weren't for his abandonment issues, which gives him a bit of a justification for his behavior. And this is okay? What? You're not like, you don't like the idea of him going after it with him not, he's in, what is, you're breaking my brain right now. He simply dove right in because of his character, which is pretty poor of him. There is no moment of him recognizing his, it's just a pretense. Again, the pretense being that she is doing this to not be romantically vulnerable, which again is his fault because she's doing that. And if he does it, then it's his fault. Gotcha. He wouldn't have done it if it weren't for his abandonment issues. So his abandonment issues is what's driving it, possibly, which gives him a bit of justification for his behavior. So it's okay. This logic is so bizarre. So bizarre. I'm going to move on. But since throughout the series, he constantly breaches people's consent, stealing underwears, grooming, peeps, assault, you can't really expect us to respect it this time as legitimate because we know he's never really cared about proper consent before. Again, he's finally doing good, and you still dogging on him. He's doing good right here and waiting for consent, and you still mad. Again, to your earlier statement about him changing and it getting better, if you're ragging on him right here when he's actually waiting for consent and getting consent, proper consent, there's no winning you. You're never going to like him. Like, he just immediately undressed her nude after one kiss. Naturally, since Rudeus tends to try to calculate if he can get any girl he meets, take your time, do some foreplay, actually feel intimate. Don't just use her like... Oh my gosh, dude. Have you ever... I'm guessing whoever posts this has never... Again, I'm already assuming this person has never actually gone out touch grass in a while, so I'm going to guess they've never actually gone to bed with somebody. Technically, in the light novel, he does try a bunch of stuff. I'll just say that. The light novel, he does try a lot of stuff, and he tries to do things for her. It's just the anime's trying to get through it because they don't really want to broadcast all this stuff too much on television. It was broadcast on a network that can show a little bit of stuff, but not a lot. So, there you go. I know you wanted to have a full-on going at it scene in your anime, even though you complain every 2 seconds about it. It's not going to be there. Sara left for dumb reasons. Again, she was extremely embarrassed. She thought her body wasn't good enough. She had some body issues there. It's just human nature. Simply because he couldn't get it up, which can happen just because you're nervous. Again, she did not leave because he could. She left because he couldn't get up, but she left because she thought she was not good enough for him. She felt like she felt extremely embarrassed. That's her reasoning. But I certainly don't think she was treated well enough either way. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna hold comments. Again, grass, it's there. The whole he's never respected consented before, so why should I guess he would have done so now if not for his abandonment issues? Also makes it difficult for me to really care about the ED of a child. Maybe if he wasn't actually 40 years old man in a child body who's already child. Yeah. Once in the barn, rubbed her and took her panties. Tried to, yes. And once in part 2, when he intentionally twisted, he pinched her. She said pinch me. He pinched her. Not sure where you're going there. I couldn't care just as a little bit. Okay, I guess that's you, bro. Good on you, I guess. I'm not gonna fault you for being mad about that and obviously connecting these two things. But again, that goes to that whole idea. If this is going to be like the thing that you're always stuck on, again, it is perfectly fine. Again, I'm not excusing it. Again, I told people all the time, if this is too much for you, stop watching it. Like, it's fine. I'm not gonna be mad at you. But if this is going to be the thing that you're going to be constantly upset about and constantly stuck on, and it's going to make your future decisions for the character, and then at the same time say that you're looking for redemption and a character to do better, you're never going to get it. Like, it's always going to be a problem for you. It's never going to be enough. Again, I don't expect that he undoes what he does in the past. Because to me, you can never, it's impossible. In doing those things, it's impossible to get over that. Those are things that nobody should ever do. But if you're expecting that it's going to do something that will undo that, nothing can. This is sort of a fundamental roadblock when it comes to the series. Because since so much of it's around Rudeus, and he's so awful as a human being, a lot of it I can't bring myself to care about. Again, and like I said, if in this moment, this segment, this arc, which is Rudeus literally wanting to die, if you can't take it seriously, if a person at the edge of the cliff is not a good enough story for you that you can empathize at all with, that it doesn't make you emotional in any way, shape, or form, the rest of the story is pointless. You might as well not get into it, because you're not seeing him as a human being. Even though you're saying that he's an awful human being, you're not seeing him as a human being. Again, if this is a redemption story, it's not. Whoever told you this is wrong. Again, I've only read 21 volumes. This is wrong. It's not a redemption story. It's a hell of a long one. Yes, it's 26 volumes. and you've only gotten to 7 of them. And I question anime-only fans because so far there's been no hint of redemption. If it does happen, light novel readers have a pretense. We don't. Unless it starts happening in this season. It won't. It never will. It's not a redemption story. But I have a hard time believing we're actually gonna get a redemption, because usually stories tend to disagree. And again, if your idea is that this is irredeemable, which many people will agree, what would redeem a character that does this? There is no redemption. These are stains. These are stains that are always there. And again, how do you redeem that? You can't. That's the whole point. This is irredeemable. You should see this as irredeemable. So what would redeem this? A time machine, I guess. If we got a time machine, I guess. That's the only way I can see redeeming. And even then, I don't even know if it's redeemable. Because he did it. Like, use your own logic, and you can't. Whew. But I have a hard time believing we're actually going to get a redemption, because usually stories tend to disagree with it already from the start. What? Stories tend to disagree with it already from the start. I don't know what that means. Like, I see fans going, well, Rudeus is supposed to be a scumbag who does gross and perverted things. Okay, but the show frames these moments as funny and titillating. Yes, again, it's an adaptation thing. Rather than revolting. I mean, it does it in light novel too. It does kind of play out these jokey scenarios, but again, that's a lot in his head. He's making it comical. And thus, the adaptation, yes, in a lot of cases, are going to portray it as comical, because in his mind, it's fun. It's funny. It's true to his nature. It's never actually revolting. Rudeus has a funny little shine for Roxy's panties. A villain loves the Roxy figure in a comedic way. I'm guessing you're talking about Pax. Yeah. Rudeus gets a slap. And I get to that point. So, the villain, or Pax, is I'm guessing what you're talking about. He's got Roxy's figurine. He's going, la, 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 he's licking it. It's done in a comedic way because he's a dork. He's obsessed with it. If you find it revolting, it's not comedic, right? You find it comedic because it's comedic. It's comedic in a lot of regards. And again, I found it comedic because it's just a stupid figurine. Him grabbing Roxy? No, don't like it. Don't like it. Him setting her on fire? Yeah, found that funny. Burn that dude alive. Good for it. I was all for it. Roxy sets him on fire. I was all for it. Rudeus gets a slap or punch after breaching Eris' consent, etc. That's not how a show acts or calls out bad behavior. even if it takes a while for the protagonist to catch up in realizing it, if it truly finds it revolting. Again, this goes in that whole realm of you not liking it because it shouldn't be portrayed, like it shouldn't be there, and then it has to say something. Again, this goes back into part 1. I'm not going to get into full details of it, but check that video out if you guys missed it. Yeah, this show doesn't apologize for things. It doesn't make a statement. It's never making a statement. Why? Because Rudeus isn't making a statement. Refugien isn't here to tell you that this is wrong. He's showing you Rudeus doing something, but he's not going to stop and go, Rudeus, now make sure to tell them that that was wrong. No, it's not your mom. Refugien's not your dad. I mean, some people claim that Refugien's their dad. It is what it is. But he's not your dad. You have your own moral compass. We have it here too when his fear of women and ED is framed as hurting him, not the woman in his life. We have it here again too when his fear of women and ED is framed as hurting him, not the woman in his life. What? I already pointed this out with the Paul-Rudeus conflict, that the story always writes conflict so that Rudeus isn't ever really in the wrong. Oh my god, dude. We're doing this again. We're doing this again. I really do believe this poster has, I guess, a reading comprehension issue or something. Like, he did it with the Lilia thing. That for some reason, because Lilia blamed herself because she lured Paul into the room, that was the story saying that Paul was innocent. It just doesn't make any sense. And now apparently we're saying that the ED is framed as hurting Rudeus and not the women as... What? And Rudeus is not in the wrong? Technically, the ED caused in Rudeus, I feel nobody is technically at fault. Again, Eris is terrible at communication. She thinks that Rudeus is a genius. She feels like she's holding Rudeus back. She's afraid of Rudeus chasing after her, so she makes her letter vague and says that she's going to go out and get stronger so that she can help him. She wants to help him, stand at his side, because she knows that he's going to go fight, or she believes he's preparing to fight Orsted again, the dragon god. And so she goes off, and her letter literally says we're unbalanced, that I am not strong enough. The balance. She just sucks at communicating. So she leaves. And she doesn't know that Rudeus has like this massive internal self-confident issues. He has his issues within himself of trusting other people and is very fragile. She doesn't know that he's a reincarnate with massive fragile mindset. And she breaks him. So no, it's not Eris's fault. She's barely 15. She's not even 15 at that point. She's a child, basically. And she literally left that letter to him thinking he's a genius. He'll figure it out. And I'm afraid that he's going to chase after me. And I got to get stronger for him. And on Rudeus' perspective, he's saying, my gosh, what did I do? I did something in bed. I didn't do something right. She didn't like me in bed. And I broke everything. We were supposed to be a family. We were going to have a family. We were going to be together forever. We were going to get married. And then she left me. He has insane abandonment issues. Nobody's at fault. Nobody. It's just two people that literally can't communicate, and a break happens. Nothing in the story is making this decision for you. Nothing in the story is saying this. Nothing. And nothing said anything about Paul back there, but you read something weird out of it. The second core of the first series was generally pretty decent because when the show doesn't focus on Rudeus' issues in women, but instead on the broader world building and takes itself as a fantasy action adventure, a standard isekai, just a standard adventure isekai, that's when you really like it. Again, like I made the argument with the first part, then go watch those bog standard isekais. If you don't like Rudeus, his inner conflict, his trauma, his insecurities, his ED, all these nasty stains that he does, all the nasty stains of characters like Paul, then go watch a bog standard isekai. This isn't your isekai. That's not what this story is doing. Its world building is cool. Its mechanics are cool. The whole thing with for what you gotten up to this point, the moment that Orsted and he goes up to the man god afterwards, But it's not just that. A good majority of his characters and their blemishes and their issues, it's usually pretty killer. Like, don't it? Like Orsted. So now a ED plot doesn't sound promising. It's not your standard isekai, dude. Also, I like to note that Rudeus is 14 and having... It's not wrong to write stories about teenagers' lives, but I remember now with Eris that in this world, you're an adult when you're 15. That's when you have your coming of age celebration and you're deemed as coming of age. Yes, I do take issue with that. Why did you make it to 15? Because that's an argument I see. Well, you're an adult at 15 years old in this world, so it's fine. Okay, but the author wrote that. Why did he write a world where 15 years old is considered mature? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just keep going. When that's still very underage in our world, because it's that world and it's very standard in a lot of those settings. Actually, in a lot of those settings, it's younger. Not that it's right. Why did he write a world where 15-year-old is considered mature at an age of... Why did he write a story where a 15-year-old girl who is previously many times and peeped and ogled has with mentally 40-year-old man? These are deliberate choices by the author, and I question them. Okay, I don't have... Like, I'm not defending it. I don't think anybody that is going to be... Nobody's going to really morally challenge that. It's just, that's the world it's in. That's the scenario it's played out is. Eris wants it. She pushed herself upon him. He accepts it. That's what they do. They're consenting in that world. Yes, you can make the argument that he's in his own mind. Is that age? Does it make it right? I'm not going to argue with any of that. It's just, that's what happens. That is the most misogynistic thing. Because she has a curse that will kill her. Oh god, here we go with Elinalise. Oh my gosh, I got it. There's like there's 4 major things in part 2, and we just got to the first one that I can think of. And yes, apparently Elinalise's curse is misogynistic. Oh gosh, this is going somewhere good. Not to mention making a female character entirely about sex and how much sex she has, but then justifying her promiscuity with some weird backstory reason. Do you think we would have needed this sort of justification for her promiscuity if she was just a man? If she was a man? Absolutely no way. Why not? I can see it going both ways. And she even herself, Elinalise, says, even without the curse, I would still do it a bunch. So what's the problem here? You don't like people that sleep around? Are you body count shaming? Are you really gonna body? Wow. So apparently this poster doesn't like women that sleep around a lot. Then we have panties falling out of the window for Rudeus to catch, so everyone thinks he's a... Wow, we're jumping right up ahead. What the heck? Did I skip something? I don't know. Then we have panties falling out of the window for Rudeus to catch. I think it actually skips right here. Again, it's just gonna... Did we miss something again? Did you guys catch the skip? We went straight from him with Sara straight to Elinalise. Again, we're not going to even think about all that Rudeus does try to help himself. We're not going to talk about Soldat and how he was basically there to support his friend the entire time. Even though he was supposed to go out with his party to a labyrinth that's far away, he stayed up all night the night before, staying at Rudeus' side, trying to help his brother out. Him fully understanding that if a guy doesn't have his unit running, they don't even feel like a man anymore. And then it goes to the point where he gets drunk, says something really stupid in front of Sara. She literally smacks him. He goes and takes a knife to his own throat. And then Soldat saved his life. None of that's cool, though. None of that's cool. None of that's interesting. We're not going to talk about any of that. Again, this is the brain rot here. This person doesn't want to talk about anything but what's misogynistic. Oh, a chance for me to use the misogynistic word. It's sad, dude. You're not even trying. You don't care about the story. You don't care about anything it's saying. Why bother? I really wonder, why bother? Anyways, Paintings are falling out of the window for Rudeus to catch, so everyone thinks he's a pervert. Some really violent lady is drawn like a gorilla for some reason. She's a gorilla beast folk. Her name is Goliad, by the way. It says it in the show. Goliad, yes, is a gorilla. Is it a problem? You don't like gorilla people? I'm just tired, I guess. I'm guessing. Also, light novel authors really like the Academy settings, huh? It's literally all storytelling. Shut up. I'm sorry. I really don't like that it's a light novel thing. The title thing, yes, it's a light novel thing. I don't like it. But this idea that, like, light novels apparently originate everything, it's just more of a fact that a lot of things that are adapted anymore are light novels. It's just a thing. Like, get over it. Well, lucky for you. The show is about to straighten you out real soon. No homo here. If you look, oh, this is where Rudeus is basically, like, getting thoughts with Fitz. This is going to be something this wasn't one of the four, I don't think. But yes, I kind of assume this is going to be a problem too. Also, it's not like sexual attraction is an innate thing. Like, you might be attracted to masculine or feminine expression, for example. But if you see this person and you think they look like a guy and you think they're a guy, then it's not like you can sense that actually they're really a woman, and therefore Rudeus can still feel attraction to her. Rudeus has never felt attraction to an actual man, after all. Okay, I guess this technically needs explanation, because I don't think the anime really explains it at all. I mean, it got into it a little bit with Sylphie when he met her in Buena Village. Again, he thought Sylph, was a boy. It's an aspect of male elves look very feminine. It's just a thing. And it's a commonality in a lot of things. Elf males look very feminine. They're very petite. So that's why he's not really sure. And it could be. Why does my heart beat faster when I see him smile? Oh, we're going... Here's the other one. Here's number two. Here's number two. Holy... Yeah, Julie in the chats. Julie's everywhere. Julie's on the comments everywhere. Love my Julie. I miss my Julie. Rudeus walks through the market, barely bats an eye at the other, happily discussing the merits of one over another, and then they use the horrific treatment for some cheap jokes at Sylphie. Oh yeah, sure. Let's have these stand and the customers just to walk past, a horrifically dehumanizing and humiliating thing, and then we use that to tease the girl in our protagonist's harem. Seriously, what the F? Where do we start here? Whew, okay. First things first, the market. I know, again, this is really hard for somebody that is very insulated and doesn't go out much and doesn't talk to people. I'm guessing probably never looks at much of history. This exists. It still exists. It's a common thing. I hate that it exists. And it still exists to the day. And I hate that it still exists today. It's always going to be a stain upon our history. It's always going to be a stain upon our world and present. And it's always around. And hiding from it ain't going to make it go away. I actually really do appreciate when stories have it in it, because it reminds us that it exists. I talked about this great in detail, I think, in the first part, but it should be in storytelling. And I think if it's unsettling to you, it's unsettling to you. Yes, does Rudy make a comment on that one? Yeah. Why do they stand out there? Technically, in the light novel, they are straight up nothing on. And I think there quite a bit of it in here is they're nothing on. They do that because it shows the health. That's what they do. It's a thing. They want you to see the health of them. And so they don't have anything on. Yes, him cracking a joke on it. I just don't think he cares. In Rudeus' mind, this is an existence in the world, and he's not going to change it. He's not. It's just not going to happen. And yes, you might find offense to him cracking a joke in front of it, but it's not like he can change anything that's in that room. He can't get rid of it. This is an ongoing debate when this episode aired in the discourse on social media, is that people wanted him to nuke the whole place, destroy it all. But then he would die. He wouldn't change anything. There's millions of markets out there. They're everywhere. It's actually most of these places, especially the north where he's at right now, a lot of their economy is sustained by this. It's just an unfortunate existence there. And a lot of people, they sell themselves into the trade because otherwise they'll die. There's a lot of villages that are dying. They have no economy. Their crops aren't there, and they would starve to death. But they choose to go there, hoping they'll get sold to somebody that at least put food on their table. Again, it sucks that it exists, but it's a part of the economy. It's actually what Refugien cleverly put into his story. Not cleverly like, it's a good thing. It's that he very much so thought this through. This isn't something that's here just for shock value. And you'll have a lot of stories where it's put in there for shock value. Like, again, like I said earlier, go watch one of your 50 million isekais where it doesn't get into deep subjects. And how do they use it? It's just simply so they can get a harem member. The cart goes rolling by and it's got a cage and there's a cute girl inside of it, and he destroys the cart and the girl becomes his. In this story, there's purpose for everything. There's a purpose for Julie being there. There's a purpose for what happened with her parents. There's a purpose for everything around this. Why there's a market here, how that market sustains itself, how the other country sees that market. This is well thought through. But to a lot of people, they don't want it to be in stories because it reminds them that it exists. And I feel it's better that we're reminded that it exists because it's important. Because again, it still exists today. Again, should Rudeus tell a joke in front of it? I don't really care. Yes, it's poor taste, but I'm not going to cry about it. They literally act like going to buy is a perverted friend. What? I mean, yes, he's weird. Don't be mean to Zanoba. Don't be bad-mouthing Zanoba. He's just different. Zanoba's special. He's not. He is seen by other people as pervert, but he's just special. He's a very special dude. I feel he's kind of in the realm of what people would call touched. He's just he sees things differently. Things just tick different in there. Other than that, he's not a bad person. I mean, he wants a stone. He wants to hump a stone, but I mean, that's him, dude. Perverted figurines. He's not really making perverted figurines, but sure, he just loves them. It's just like going to the groceries. Even if none of the characters are specifically against the trade, this is the world Sylphie grew up in, and Rudeus is nothing new. So your argument here is it's okay for the individuals in that world because the world they grew up in, but Rudeus, so he's going to be fine with it. Again, yes, people that grew up in this world, this is the world. And again, you, the one that posted this, while you're posting this, while you're writing this, there is sales happening right now in your country. I would bet no matter what country you're in, even if you're in the great United States, there's a lot of it. Actually, a lot more than a lot of other countries. And yet, you want a grandstand? It's happening right now. And you want a grandstand? While you're posting this, while you're watching Mushoku Tensei, don't act like you're special. Don't act like you're special. You're content. You're enjoying your posting on your social medias about your show. Don't act like you're special. But the show doesn't seem to care either, since it just uses Rudeus' horrific behavior as a setup for some jokes. Hell, the entire season they brought in the first place is basically just a joke with figurines. Hell, the entire reason they bought in the first place was basically just for a joke with the figurines. What? No, Zanoba wants to make figurines. He's been wanting to really badly. It's his purpose. He loves it. It's literally what he loves to do. It's his passion. It's his hobby. It's his future. This is something that he wants to do in his life. And he doesn't have the ability to do it. So they're buying one in order to facilitate that. Because he has money, and it is something that you can do in this world. Again, not to say that the act of buying is an okay thing, mortal standards by us in this world, but it's normal in that world, and thus they do it. The narrative still needs to frame this as a bad thing. No, it doesn't. Oh God, we're going to go back in this again, aren't we? No, it doesn't. No story is obligated to tell you what is bad. A story is obligated to tell you a story, to entertain you, or to inform you. It is never required to tell you what is morally good or morally bad. Simply, for Refugien, for Mushoku Tensei, its job is to entertain and tell a story. That's it. It is not obligated to tell you how to live your life. And I don't want it to. I don't want most authors that I read to tell me what they think is morally right or wrong. Because, shocker, it could be wrong. And it could be against your beliefs. Any indication to show it doesn't actually agree with the characters, but it doesn't. Oh, God. No, but it doesn't. It does sex jokes instead, which is Rudeus, who's the story's about. Again, the issue is not whatever universe reasons you can give to justify the characters behave like this. The issue here is the framing and the tone. No, the issue here is you, the reader. You're reading and watching something that you do not want to accept or at least go into without feeling like you're offended all the time and that things shouldn't exist in writing and storytelling. Which, again, fine. Just step away from it. It's not for you. You're not open-minded enough, you're not empathetic enough, and you're not allowing yourself to think and wade through those controversial topics that you might not always be comfortable with. And again, that's perfectly fine. You just admit it and walk away. You have to ask yourself, at what point is Rudeus too far? At what point has he become just an actively hateable character? That he's just too irredeemable? No. You don't have to ask yourself that. Rudeus has a modern contextual basis for understanding an institution as inherently dehumanizing as, and he casually participates in it and didn't understand it as one of the great evils of humanity. We get nothing, not the slightest hint of hesitation, not a single inner line of dialogue to the audience, nothing. Again, you're not understanding Rudeus. You're not understanding him. He has no connection to humanity. He doesn't care. Rudeus has never cared. When he got transported into the new world, he didn't care about his father. He didn't care about his mother. He didn't care about Lilia. The whole situation with Paul sleeping with Lilia, he didn't care. You thought that he cared. For some reason, you thought he cared. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about Paul. He kind of cares about Sylphie. He really loves Roxy. Then he goes out and traveling. He doesn't care about the people around him. He gets shocked by death and whatnot. He wants to help out Regerd. Gets connected with Regerd. Likes Eris. Really gets to liking Eris. Eris leaves him. He gets broken again. He goes to this party. He starts hanging out with these party members. Kind of helps them out a little bit. Soldat saves his life. They kind of travel for a little bit. He goes to this place. Starts hanging out with Fitz. Kind of likes Fitz. Has a little thing with Fitz. I don't know. I kind of like this Fitz person. Oh, this Zanoba guy? He's kind of cool. Starting to hang out with Zanoba. Goes to a market. He doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care about the people in the market. He never has. You think he's an extremely lovable guy. That he wants to save the world. He wants to heroically save the entire town. He's going to rise up to the throne. He's going to be the hero of justice. That's not Rudeus. He's not you. He's not a moral justice warrior. He's not out to save humanity. He doesn't care. And in the context of the market, he understands it's a normality in the world, and he can't change it. That's all he has said. If he's a person who has so fully embraced as an institution to the point where he has no problem with engaging and contributing to it completely and wholly and only for his own deeply personal and perverted reasons to make figurines and best friend, no, this, I don't know where you're getting this from, but sure. None of this is correct. Okay, moving on. I don't know where you get any of this stuff, but sure, go for it. Then is he gone too far to even care? He doesn't care. He's not you. He can't change it. What do you want him to do? Has he gone past the line of redeemability where he can't care about his getting better because, like himself bettering himself? This is a question that has no answer, and it's completely irrelevant. There's got to be a line right somewhere. Where are your line for him? This is a moral argument. I'm not getting into this. You're basically saying if you accept this, you're a bad person. Whatever. I mean, again, this goes to the argument earlier. When you bring these kinds of things to discussion, you're shutting down discussion because you don't really want to have the discussion. Stop it. What's the point for me in the story where I actively hate the protagonist and find him utterly irredeemable, and yet he is rewarded with girls? Stop watching it. What is the point for me in a story? You keep watching it. Now listen, I'm sticking with this one. Stop. What is the point for me to story? I'm going to stick with it out of maybe you're sick, dude. So nothing we can do. But after Core 2, I was at least feeling more optimistic. Now, I'm not even asking for Rudeus to become some radical abolitionist, although he does have the power to save all the slaves. Oh, gosh, no, you're one of those people. No, he's one of those people. Oh, gosh. Like, literally everybody that likes this series, or at least gives it some ounces of consciousness to understand it, is literally screaming at their screams right now. I could hear you all that's watching this video. They're one of those people. But I'm asking him to recognize the evil. At least. It'd still be horrible, but it'd be something. Like, obviously preferable. Don't engage with it anyway. But we get neither. What a low point.
Although he does have the power to save all the slaves right there with his magic. But I'm just asking him to recognize evil.
I'm wondering if you intended to write, although he doesn't have the power. But I'm going to assume you're one of those people. No, Rudeus does not. He has the power to probably blast all the people in the market. But what happens? Again, this is sanctioned. This is part of the economy. This is the lifeblood of the northern region because there's so little you can make money. There's no crops. There's barely an economy there. Everything is magic and trade of people. That's how people survive in that northern region. So him taking down that market, he makes himself an enemy of the entire region. And Rudeus is a glass cannon. One swordsman. One single swordsman. And they don't have to be insanely powerful swordsmen. Dead. Dead. In a split second. A flash of a blade. He wouldn't even see it coming. Dead. He does not have the power to save all of them. No. The only reason Rudeus was able to... And this is funny. Rudeus has done it before. He's technically done it before. He just can't do it now. He saved the Beast Folk girls from trade. But again, way back up there, you didn't want to talk about it, did you? Because it was a good thing. We only talk about bad things. Rudeus has done it before. But you don't care unless he doesn't do it. That's your problem. You're only looking for negativity. And again, the only reason he was able to do it then is because Reserve was with him. Now, he can't. He doesn't have the power. And again, he doesn't have the reason. She exercises because of Rudeus. She excels in class because of Rudeus. She gets along well with the princess because of Rudeus. What? And she thinks of Rudeus every single second of the walking day. God. She exercises a lot because, yes, he taught her to exercise regularly. She excels in class because of Rudeus. Yes, because she taught him how to use magic in a very easy to understand way. Again, a lot of his knowledge of magic was based on science because he came into this world with the knowledge of science, knowing how different elements mixture. So in classes, they don't really fully understand how to explain those chemical reactions. So when they're listening to the teacher teaching that, Sylphie's like, they suck at explaining it. Everybody struggles with this. There's a lot of characters that we'll meet in the academy. Persenna's one of them, I believe. Or, yeah, it was Persenna. Doesn't understand it. It's hard to understand because the teachers don't explain it well. And Rudeus has to help them. This is a thing. That's what it's explaining there. Gets along with the princess because of Rudeus. I don't get what you're getting at. She thinks that Rudeus is every single second of waking day. Yeah, I argue that's a little weird. It is an aspect of, again, that dependency. She has put him on a pedestal. He saved her life in the Buena Village. Even after he left, she really had no other friends. She was just striving to get stronger for the day that he'd return. He never did. She got displaced. Then suddenly, her life is in danger. She's getting attacked by assassins. Oh, by the way, how did she survive? Rudeus is teaching to her, learning magic and spells and whatnot. That saves her life. This becomes the only thing that she really has anymore because what happens? Oh yeah, she finds out that her father and her mother are dead. Oh, looks like she doesn't have anything to return to. What does she have left? Ariel, Oh yeah, and then Rudeus from back in Buena Village. These are the only these are the only pillars in her life. That happens. Welcome again to the psyche of people who are completely disjointed from their life. Their life is destroyed. They have nothing to look forward to except for one thing. It happens. In that castle, she only had Ariel. She was going to get executed. Her young life is extremely destroyed and extremely warped. I cannot believe I'm actually defending Sylphie. What the character that everybody thinks I hate, I am now defending her. And I'm gonna cut it off there. We're gonna stop there. We'll have another part. We're gonna come back to this one. We have to finish this one because, yeah, obviously, going forward, we're gonna get into we got to get into the Peaceful Girls. We got to get into, yes, Rudeus being a little conflicted with liking certain with fits and all that kind of stuff. It's only gonna get better from here. So. And we're going to get there to conclusions of the actual season, or at least the part 1 of the season. I don't know if they're going to do a part 2. I hope they do a part 2 by the time I do the next part. Because this is turning again into a weekly thing that is just absolutely very interesting. It's just very, very interesting. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video. For those that don't like the series, maybe you learned something. I don't know. Maybe you got a sense from me what a lot of people empathize with the character for. Again, I think a lot of what Mushoku Tensei is sort of a look into darker sides of people. It's a lot to do with empathy. It's a lot to do with people and their broken nature, even if it does look kind of dirty. And again, it's not a story of redemption, but rather kind of moving forward. And yes, a lot of the conflicts we might see in storytelling that make you think. Again, a lot of really touchy subjects that are, yes, hard to really stomach, or a lot of hard to swallow pills. But at the same time, they're kind of telling a message. They're trying to get into things that we don't normally kind of get into with storytelling that I personally really, really like getting into. So again, not to say that a lot of things that it kind of gets into is morally right or wrong, or in the eyes of humanity, a good thing to exist. There are things that technically do exist that he's constantly navigating. So anyways, again, if you like this video, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know what you think of this whole segment here. Again, be nice, be nice. If you're liking this whole series, definitely let me know, and I'll keep it going. I'll just keep it going. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good thing to also pad in between me getting back into doing my skipped content videos, which I still want to do a whole video on, interestingly enough, Ariel. So hopefully I can get back to that and get into my whole Ariel video. That way I can make that video. I thought it was going to be like right up here. I was just going to scroll way up to it. Where's Ariel at? Where's she at? She's like right there. Ariel. We're going to do a whole video on Ariel so you can get the full perspective of her story. But anyways, yes, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips, links to the links, membership down below. Greatly appreciate it. Support the channel. Until next time, take care.